With 2024 approaching, people are thinking about their finances and retirement going into the new year. For more insight on how to stay on top of your own fiscal responsibility, we turn to Lawrence Sprung, Mitlin Financial founder and author of Financial Planning Made Personal. Good to have you back on the show. So, give us some context here, because a lot of people are so focused on, getting through this holiday shopping season. They're not ready to start thinking about budgeting for next year. What should people keep in mind right now as they're keeping in mind what they could be preparing for in 2024?
Sure. Happy holidays, Rachelle. It's a pleasure to be here. And, this is a great time. We have time with family and friends, and we have some downtime when things slow down a little bit. So it presents a great opportunity to take a look at some things. First and foremost, take a look at your budget for 2023. How did that work out? Were you ahead, behind? Use it as a gauge to then start planning your 2024 budget to see if you could stay within those same parameters or perhaps increase it a bit. And remember, include some joy into that budget planning. It's not all about saving for retirement and for the future. It's also about enjoying today. Take a look at your emergency fund. Is that something that you've depleted or needed to tap into over the past year? And if so, have a game plan to start replenishing that. And I think from a retirement planning standpoint, it's a great opportunity to take a look. Many times we see people failing with regard to their retirement plan in terms of not contributing enough to take advantage of their full employer match. This is free money. There aren't many times that you can get free money, and this is an opportunity to make sure that you're putting away enough to at least get that full match by your employer.
Lawrence, one way to get off on the wrong foot for the new year is to get a massive credit card bill coming through from the holidays. And we've been talking a lot today about consumers having to stretch a bit more this holiday season as we see them go out to buy things over the weekend, over the next few weeks. How do you think they should be budgeting how much they can spend?
Well, hopefully they've had that budget already and have that in place. But if not, they should be taking a look at what they do have to budget, perhaps for these holiday purchases. And I think it's important and really vital, and I don't want to stop the consumerism that we're seeing in this country, but at the same time, we have to be careful. Be careful about making purchases on credit cards, for example, that you cannot pay off at the end of the month, because it's not just the cost of that purchase then, it's the cost of the purchase plus interest and how long is that going to take you to pay off? It could end up, being 50 to 100% more, depending on how long it takes you to pay off that debt. So be very careful. Most importantly, try to only spend things on the credit card that you can essentially pay off at the end of the month. And then if you're looking for yourself, avoid impulse buys. If it's something you're thinking about purchasing or you want to, and it was something that was new and brought to your attention, maybe take 24 to 48 hours and see how you're feeling about that, because you may have a difference of opinion. And I think lastly, being today Black Friday, there are a lot of deals out there, but the question is it really a deal? You have to do your homework and know if you are or you are not getting a deal. And it's important to do more homework on some of those larger purchases.
It's true, because when I'm shopping, I always think saying yes to this means saying no to something else. If I buy something expensive, then that means no to something I could have invested, that would have actually brought me some returns. But as people sort of look ahead, they're looking at their 2023 tax filings, perhaps. What should they be prepping for, considering any of the changes that we've seen this year?
So, many of that stuff, many of the things that they could possibly do, our viewers here, we only have a few weeks left to do them. So number one is start getting prepared for those tax returns, maybe start putting together a file for those important documents. Take a look at your 401k. Perhaps if you haven't maxed out, there are still a few more pay periods, or if you haven't put in enough money, there's still a few more pay periods if your employer will allow it to increase that to lower potentially your tax deduction, if you will. If you have other expenses or charitable deductions that you're looking to take, perhaps early next year, it may pay for you to take advantage of them now before the end of the year and push that tax deduction to 2023, where it may be more impactful than it would be in 2024.
Lawrence, as you sort of advise clients right now, we're talking about Americans increasingly turning cautious. Are you finding that they're a little more alert, about some of these savings they can make in 2024? What are you hearing about how they're thinking about their finances going into next year with all of this uncertainty in the economy?
I think for the most part, people are cautiously optimistic. For the most part, we're, an optimistic society, and people feel that what we're seeing today will not necessarily be around in the same fashion it is today. It may be different, maybe less so, but we feel the conversations we're having are much around optimism and feeling that we are far better off where we are today than we were a year and a half ago. A lot more certainty. We were in a much more uncertain environment a year and a half ago. So I think that certainty is adding some stability. I think this holiday season may be a little impacted because some of that stability has just come back into the markets, and I think people's mindsets recently. But I think going into the new year, that should continue in a big way.
Okay, Lawrence Sprung, some good takeaways there as we look ahead to the new year. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.